Alright, hey there guys. Thought I would take a few minutes and share a little project I've been working on for the last 2 or 3 months. And here's the van. I've got it here at the house, and as you know, whenever Zapman and I were working on it, we basically ran out of time and we got it kind of roughed out and finished to where you could use it, but we never did do the finishing work. Like I said, we ran out of time, and finishing work really takes a lot of time because it has to be very precise, and if you're an amateur like I am, it still doesn't come out that great. But I'll go ahead and share and show you what I've got. So as soon as I dropped him off the airport and got it back here to the house, the very first thing I did was clean it top to bottom. I mean, just shined it up. It was looking great. Well, as you can see right now, or I don't know how well you can see in the video here, it's filthy again because it's basically been sitting here for the last couple of months, 2-3 months. I can't remember exactly how long. You can also see here where I've kind of got it sitting. This has been my little workshop. You can see where I was working there. It's been my little workshop around the house here. I've had it parked here pretty much most of the time as I've worked on it. I've had to move it a few times whenever people would come and would need to be able to walk down the sidewalk. And so I'm just going to kind of walk around here a little bit and show you some of the different things that I'm going to be doing that I've done. I probably won't show you everything, and as that man can tell you, everything has a long story behind it. Nothing's ever easy with this stuff. And so I'll try to share a little bit, but also not keep it too long. So let me think here. Where in the world do I start? Well, you remember one of the very first things I worked on, took several weeks, was the wiring harness. And so I had to replace the wiring harness in it. And that turned out to be a much bigger job than I thought it would be, and also turned out to be a lot more expensive. Well, a whole lot more expensive than I thought it would be. First off, the wiring harness that I had seen for it was like 70 bucks. And then when I actually got in, let me see where I've got this. Okay, I've got it zoomed in a little bit. When I finally got to ordering the one, turned out that wasn't the one for this van. The one for this van was like $275. And so I got started into that. Let's see, I'm looking right into the sun here, so I don't know exactly what the camera's going to do with that. Well, as you can kind of see as I open the door here, hopefully you can see that the dash is working, which is awesome. I had to take pretty much everything apart. Down here in the bottom, underneath, behind that dash is where it plugged in. It ran down through here, it came in through here, so all this, everything had to be taken out. But it ran down, it runs up through here, so I can follow my hand here, comes up through here, comes across through here, and then back through the back, and I'll show you all that in a few minutes. So that was a huge job, and of course, one of the reasons why I said it costed a whole lot more than I thought it would was because after I got through with that, I have no idea. I don't think there was anything that I did. Let's see, is there anything else up in here? Of course, I had to take out all the headboard. I think I showed you a picture where I had to take out everything. Oh yeah, one of the things, well, I'll show you this from the other side. But one of the things it did allow me to do once I took all that out was the camera on the other side. I was able to run the cord on it a little bit better, and I'll show you that when I get there. But like I said, the wiring harness that I was working with, it didn't really say anything about, when I was looking at connections and stuff, that it had anything to do with the fuel pump or anything like that. So I don't know if that was a coincidence. You know, I guess I'm happy that the fuel pump went out on me here because it did. I couldn't get the van started, had to have it towed over to the Ford place. And used to be I could fix a fuel pump. It was no big deal. It was basically a wire that ran from the fuse to the fuel pump, and if it was either the fuel pump didn't work or there was a short in the wire. Now it goes through 10 computer modules connected to everything else in the van. And it was one of the big computer modules that had messed up for some reason. And I can't remember how much that turned out being, but it was a lot more than I expected. Here's kind of the back of the van a little bit. I've got all the gas and stuff hooked up. I've got pretty much everything at this point hooked up. Oh yeah, one other thing from that, before I go a little bit farther, is there was also, whenever Zachman and I first bought the van, as you drove it down the road, it had this, it was like, you know, the rumble strips that are beside the highway. That was what it sounded and felt like. It felt like you were running over them even when you were in the middle of the highway. And so we took it and checked it out, and they said, oh yeah, we've run into that problem before, we just need to do this. And so they fixed this for us. And it worked the whole time Zach had it out, you know, several thousand miles, no problem. I don't know whether it was when the wheel fell off the van, whether that messed something up or what, but it came back and it just kept getting worse and worse, and I couldn't do anything with it. So whenever I had them checking out the fuel pump, they checked that out. And they said the torque converter in the transmission was going bad. Basically, it kind of needs a new transmission. Things for this van, because it's a commercial van, everything about it's crazy expensive. Normally you can get a whole new brand new transmission put in for a couple of $1,000s. This one's just to replace some parts in it. It's not even a brand new one. It's going to be over $3,000, and I'm taking it tomorrow morning. I wanted to, I didn't completely get finished, but I got it. I had to get it finished as much as I could here because I've got to take it to the Ford place first thing tomorrow morning, and they're going to start working on that. But I'm afraid to drive it anywhere because, like I said, it just kept getting worse and worse. I did use it one time since I've had it. I took it to a pickleball tournament and in Roanoke and spent the night there, but I was worried the whole time there and all the whole way back that whether or not the transmission was going to go out on me, so I haven't wanted to take it anywhere since then. So I'm going to get that fixed tomorrow. Well, it'll take them a week or two to get it fixed. But I got all this done. As you can see, one of the things that I did in here was I covered the walls, and basically that, I don't know if you recognize it or not, but that is the same, I used the material from down in the basement, you know, where I did that, the walls down there. And so that's how I kind of covered up the walls back here in the back. You can see part of my wiring here from the new cable that I put in, so that's the brand new cable. And so, you know, I was talking about up front, well, of course it ran, I had to take the van pretty much completely apart. The only thing I didn't take apart was the roof and I guess the floor. Everything else in the van's been taken completely apart. But it ran all the way back to the back, and then it runs down this side here to all these lights, and then it runs across the top up here and comes back down and runs to all this stuff down in here. Plus it also controls the backup camera, and I have no idea why, but for some reason something over in here controls the dash. That was what was taking out the dash, you know, all the lights and fuel gauge and everything there. And so I've rewired, as that man can tell, I've rewired the plumbing a little bit up there, and I'll explain why here in a minute. And I've also done a lot of different things. But I checked all the gas with bubble line, you know, putting soap in a bubble thing, you know, and spraying it, and that looked okay, but I still wasn't completely secure with it, so I bought a little, I think I've got it in here. It's basically a little gas gauge. I think it's called a gas sniffer. You can kind of see it there. I've stuck it in there just to keep it in there. And so it's supposed to sniff to see if there's any gas, and so I've checked everything out and everything is good there. Haven't filled the water tank up yet. It's beginning to freeze here at night, and so I don't want to put any water in it and have it freeze. As you can see, one of the things up here on the inside there, I put in some wallpaper stuff that I'd found. I think that was something Zach Man had gotten. And then also one of the things I did was I put up a little net over there to kind of help things, and it just unfastens easily on each side. I have ordered a little what they call tension bar to go in here to make a little hanging closet there, and still got a little bit of stuff to do there, but that's one of the things I've worked on. One of the things I did with the window here was I made a little insulating and also block out, so it stuffs in there and then blocks out that window so that no light comes in if I want to sleep, but also if I want to block it out when it's cold. I made it myself, and so it's a couple of pieces of little insulation type stuff with some stick-on foam in between, insulation in between. Also did something similar to for the fan up there as well, so that no air can come in through the window and through that vent up there and when it's cold. Let's see if there's anything else back here. I can't really think of anything else. The doors, I think I'm going to leave the doors until the spring. It's starting to get cold and it's kind of hard to work on stuff. It's pretty nice today. But I'm not exactly sure even what I'm going to do with the doors yet. But I think I'm going to leave them till spring. You can see my little building here where I've been working with all my stuff in there. And let's see, coming on around, I'm sure I'll forget a lot of things because there's so many different things that I've been doing. But one of the things I did was I worked on the little step in here. It was kind of falling apart and got it all straightened up. I did put in, one of the things that you can tell is the that I did kind of repaint all that. It was kind of a gray, which I understood the gray matched the seats and all that, but it was just kind of dreary for me, and so I wanted something a little brighter, and so I went ahead and painted everything here. And then you can see I've got the cabinet door on. I also enclosed the refrigerator a little bit. I didn't like stepping up on the refrigerator to get up into the bed, and so I wanted to enclose it a little bit to make it a little nicer, but also I made a little step on top of it, which I'll show you here in a minute, and just to make it, so I could step on it, because we did put rollers down on the bottom of it. I don't know if you can see them there. I'll come in a little closer here in a minute. Actually, I could probably zoom in like that. We did put rollers on the bottom so that it would support our weight, so it did fine there. I just needed something to stand on. But one of the things is, you can see my shadow from the sun behind me. One of the things is, from a distance, even amateurs can look pretty good. It's when you get up close that you can tell the difference between amateurs and professionals. And one of the big differences between amateurs and professionals is amateurs are trying to save money, so they're buying everything cheap. Professionals are trying to save their reputation, and so they're buying the highest quality of everything and making everything look really good. I'll explain why I told you that here in a minute as I dig into a little details here. Also a little hoarse. Excuse me. So let's go on in a little bit more and see what we got here. Like I said, there's a story behind everything that you do. So that little cushion right there, I wanted to make a seat out of that battery box, and so I made the little cushion there. And got some foam. Actually, it was some leftover foam from the bed, and had that material down in the some of the things that I had done downstairs in the let's see, I've got some type of a light here that's coming in telling me that something's not filming right. That was some material I had downstairs. Liked it because it, it's kind of traveling like, and so every little thing, you're trying to get that cut right, trying to get the thing, and then had it completely together, which took me forever, and everything takes forever. Try to put it in, and it won't fit because the foam keeps it from pushing up under the little white cabinet back there that I had, and so then I had to take it all back apart and remove the little pieces on the inside that we've got. Let me see if I can lift it here a little bit. You can see right underneath that is our inverter, which is power, but these little things right here that we put in, there's all the wiring and the battery. But I had to take it all apart and reposition these so that it would actually fit back down on there. And so, like I said, that's the reason it's taken me months so far to get done what I have, is because every little thing every day just takes a lot of time. And see, I told you I was going to tell you about the little camera. The little dash cam that took the picture that showed the tire rolling in front of the van. I was able to, whenever I took apart everything up in here, I was able to rewire that. And so now you can see that I've got the wire running in through here, and it runs up through here, and then down and around and plugs in down here. So that was one little thing good that came of it. Let's see, what else? So many things. Oh, I guess I can start here in the front. I redid the curtain. I cut the curtain and made it to where it actually slides open and closed now. That was one of the things that drove me crazy, was trying to get from the front to the back past that curtain. And so now it slides, and then also I've got a little tie back here, and so all that works pretty well. Up in here I took some different material that I had downstairs and sealed all this up to make it look a little bit better. It was the only way I could figure out how to redo it. And so I got that. Actually, this little piece right here I just finished putting in today. Haven't finished trimming it out yet. I ran out of time and I need some parts. But that right there was, I said, everything's very interesting because this wall here slopes all the way up. For some reason this one doesn't. It's flat. So whenever I put in the boards, and the way I had to put in the boards was I took these bolts. If you ever seen rivets in a rivet gun, it pulls the rivet in. Well, we had these bolts that you stick into holes that were already made in the van. And then you're really supposed to have a bolt rivet thing that I looked at one time. It was like $70 or $80 and didn't want to buy it. And so, so that man will remember this. We kind of rigged up a way of doing it, which like to broke your wrist to be able to do it. But so I was able to get those up. I put up a couple of boards, but then they were flat. So then I had to come back in with differing level of boards so that I could kind of get a slope here on this to equal the slope that was on this. And I still need to put in a piece of trim across here. I got this trim in. I'll get to some things here in the sink in a minute, and I still need to come across with some trim here. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to try to enclose all this here. And I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do about this little gap here. It's little things like that that are just, you know, really complicated and take a lot of time. But so I redid this right here a little bit and got it in there a little bit better. Also, whenever I had all of this thing here completely out, I went back in. Whenever we were working on it, we didn't take it out. And so I went back in and re-insulated the entire cab up in there completely. So it's doing pretty good now. Let's see, so that takes care of the curtain, some of the things there. I guess one of the things, I told you I'd got the gas in completely, and so one of the other things, it doesn't look like it's really showing up on my, that's interesting. I know I've got light coming in kind of weird, but whether you can see it or not, I can't tell. It doesn't look like I can see it in this video screen here, but I did get the little heater hooked up, and so it's pretty cool. Works great if the temperature's 45 or above. It'll burn you up, it'll burn you out in here. But once it starts getting down into the 30s, I don't know whether I just haven't used it, turned it on long enough, but it's a little slow to heat up when it's really, really cold. Also, well, so, you know, that was, again, another story. It's got 3 little holes on the back that you had to match up perfectly, and it took me forever to get that thing hooked up. I also put a little, one of those little net carrier things here to hold the toilet in and anything that's in there. I'm going to probably redo some things as far as storage at some point. One of the things that I really like is I did a little backsplash for the oven here, and I like this. It matched. I got that to kind of match that. I ordered it from Amazon. It's real pretty, but also it kind of protects everything from any heat or stuff in here. And then also I put a little extra one right here. I had a little bit left over is what it was, and so I had the backsplash on there and had repainted around all this. But I put this one here so that if you take a hot, you know, something off the oven or the stove, you can set it on there and not, you know, burn your wood or whatever. And all this is kind of self-stick, and all of it stuck really well. But this one right here just would not stick. And I couldn't figure out why. And it's because I remembered I waxed all this wood right here with some, you know, to make it all waterproof and all that. And so it won't stick to it, but it does sit there pretty good. And so it's my little pot holder, I guess you would say. Going on, one of the things that I did was I put in these little latches here to help keep the doors closed. We were just throwing straps and stuff over them. And every little thing, even, you know, even things like this, you have to get the hole drilled before you can put the latch on. And you have to get the hole drilled perfectly, because once you put the latch on, that's it. And so, like I said, all those little things just take so much time to try to figure out and make sure you get them perfectly. But I got that in there, and so that's there. I also put little handles on here. This handle became a little bit of a problem, but then it turned out to be a solution for me, so I'll talk about that in a second. So this one pulls out, supposedly. It's actually one of the things is where I painted it. I kind of almost painted it shut the other day, and so I'm going to have to, I had to work that a little bit. But we've got the thing here where it, you know, makes a little tabletop, or, you know, a little counter space type thing here. And then this right here comes out, and you've got your drawer underneath there. And so all that worked really well. But then, and so I've got that latch there, and then also, like I said, I enclosed this. And once I did, I wanted something I could, you know, step up on here. And but it also, what it did was then it blocked my controls on my refrigerator. So I went ahead and put a little hinge on it, and made it into a little hinge thing that would come up, so then I could see all my controls. Like I said, I don't know how well the videos coming out because the lighting is horrible with the sun coming in at an angle. The way I'm seeing it through my little screen here, I can't hardly see anything that I'm recording, but hopefully you can. And let me go ahead and lock that because I've got to move it in the morning. And put a little handle on it. Oh, I was going to tell you, that handle right there kind of turned out to be a little bit of a problem. And the reason for it is when you pull this out, what happens is this right here doesn't come up perfectly. It actually comes up and hits it a little bit. And so I thought about taking it off, but one of the things that I wanted to do whenever it's in storage is if this thing stays closed, it's not good. You want to leave a refrigerator open when it's not running. And so I kept having trouble keeping it up. And so it turns out that if you just tilt it just a little bit, it comes up and actually turns into a little handle there to hold the lid up. So actually worked out okay, and it doesn't take much to actually get it past that, so it's not a big deal. But I'm going to have to close that now because I need to, like I said, move it tomorrow. Take it in, and so like I said, you know, it's all these little details. One of the things I was talking about, you know, as far as being an amateur, the difference between an amateur and a professional. Cabinet doors, I always knew cabinet doors were, you know, a major problem, getting things squared, and I worked on this cabinet door forever. But one of the things that that man had done is he'd gotten these what's called self-close or soft closed hinges. So really nice hinges, and one of the things they do is they help, you know, once they close, they kind of help the door stay fastened, so I didn't have to put a latch or whatever on it. But the way they're supposed to work is I had to buy this very special little tool here to drill a hole out, because they're supposed to drill into the cabinet and they're supposed to be hidden is what's happened. So you have to drill this hole. I couldn't drill a hole all the way through. I could have used just any drill bit to drill a hole all the way through. This is actually supposed to drill down to a certain point and then come out and leave a hole there so that will fit in there. And so I ended up having to buy this special $10 tool from Amazon or whatever. Well, I said one of the differences between amateurs and professionals is amateurs buy cheap stuff, and so what I'd bought was just plywood here and painted it. And plywood doesn't work with that type of drill. You start drilling with that kind of drill on plywood. Plywood is just that. It's pieces of wood that are all plied together. It's layers of wood, and so they just kind of start splintering up everywhere. And so it went ahead and went all the way through. And so I could have used any bit that I wanted to, because I ended up drilling all the way through. So then I thought I'd put these little caps on there. Well, so I've got these caps, and turned out they wouldn't fit because of all the mechanism that's in there. And so I worked forever cutting these things, trying to get them to fit into the hole just right. Cracked it a little bit. Had to use kind of putty and stuff to cover them up. And so like I said, you know, from a distance, looks pretty good. You know, got the little white handle on there, little white caps, everything matches. Get up close and you can actually see all the little stuff. But it's cool. It's all good. And don't really like that trash can there. I was trying it out, but I think I'm going to put something else in there. Oh yeah, one of the things I talked about was I had moved the little foot pump here. It was on this side over here. In fact, you can still see the holes here. But whenever I put the door on here, I wanted to move the foot pump over here, and then I'm going to probably put some type of a little storage unit or something in there. And so that's part of that. I don't know how long this video is getting to be, but I'm sure pretty long. And I'm getting close to done, I think. Let's see. Alright, we come to the sink, and one of the things that I did in the sink, there's me, is I put in a little medicine chest cabinet. And so it opens up, and it's got a little chest here on the cabinet on the wall, and then close it, and it's got a little magnet so that holds it. And of course I had to take everything apart. I had to even take the cabinets completely out whenever I was working on the wiring. Like I said, I stripped the van. Pretty much the only thing I didn't take out was the bed and the sink here. This part of the sink, I had to take out everything else, all the other walls, and to rerun those wires. But so I've got things kind of trimmed up a little bit. Not great, but it looks okay. And so like I said, I need to work on it a little bit. Let's see. Let me pause here for a second and see if there's anything that I can think of that I might have missed. Well, I think I've gotten most of it. Like I said, the back doors, I'm going to work on them, and also this door here. Like I said, I think I'm going to kind of wait till spring to finish those doors out, because I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do them. They're going to be a little complicated to do them, but they're fine. Everything else is done. I did get the smoke detector back in. I also put the little carbon detector up here. One of the things I want to do is right up in here above the light switch in this area here, I want to put a little clock up there, and what I'm looking for is a maybe a Christmas present. I'm looking for a clock that has a temperature gauge and a humidity gauge built into it. I've gotten 2 or 3 of them in my Amazon shopping list or whatever that I'm looking at and trying to figure out what's the kind of the best one. I think I'm going to put that up in there. I was going to put one kind of here, because I've got this kind of little knot hole right here, and so I thought about putting it there to cover that knot hole, but then I think it would work better up there. I could see it better and everything. And what I think I'm going to do here, of course we got all the controls and everything right here. I think what I'm going to do there is try to find some type of a little picture or something, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to cover that with, but I think what I want to do is find something on a trip that I'm doing. I may in fact use that whole little wall right there and put, I don't know, little stickers or something. I don't know. You come up with something that to put on that wall that has, you know, something kind of memorable. Be a little bit of maybe a memorable wall for some of my travels or something, and play with it. So I think that's about it. Hope you enjoyed it and that you're able to halfway see some. Oh, one last thing. The next thing I'll be doing, as far as I'll be working on the cab up here a little bit, and basically I want to make like a little, almost an airplane cockpit up here. What I'm really looking for is, whenever I was doing the RV and traveling quite a bit, there's a lot of things that I learned that I wanted to have access to as I'm moving. So I'm going to be putting in a little table-like thing for the laptop that's supposed to fit to this chair here that will swivel. I've got one that I'm looking at, kind of expensive, but that it actually holds the laptop, because I want to be able to watch stocks and things even when I'm traveling. I don't want to have to not be able to move or do anything because I have to sit at my laptop and watch, you know, what the stock is doing. But then also I've got 2 or 3 different little tablets, and so I want to put something up in this area up in here. One of the big things whenever I was traveling is, most of the time you're on open road traveling down the interstate, no big deal. But there's times you get in places where you really want really good navigation. Google does good. In fact, Google's getting even better. But it was really important to me in the RV, because it was so big I couldn't switch lanes very quickly. This is not quite as big, but I want something that really gives me good directions and shows me, you know, pictures and things of what's coming up and exactly how you do the exit, because when you're in strange places and you're trying to navigate some, you know, clover leaves and all that, and you're in the wrong lane, it's no fun. And so I want to try to get something there a little bigger than my phone. Don't know if I'll use a GPS thing. Probably will use something like Google, but put it on a little bigger tablet. So I'm going to have something in that area for it, I think, is where I'm going to put that. Then I've got something in my Amazon list for the little cup holders there. They got tablet holders there, because I want at least 1 or 2 other tablets. I'd like to have one tablet where I can even kind of watch or listen to shows as I travel. But then I also want to be able to easily access information. You know, if I'm needing gas, finding what I'm looking for as far as a gas station. I've got apps and things I can do it. I just need something where I can push 1 or 2 buttons and have a good screen to where I can see it. And then a lot of other things, you know, just kind of information without having to stop somewhere and spend time trying to figure out, or if you're moving down the road and you really want to see something. And then the last thing I want is my phone. I want it to be kind of a communication. I want it to read out any text or anything like that's coming in, and also for me to be able to voice reply. I know there's good apps, but oftentimes I've tried using them in the car and just the noise of the car doesn't pick up well, so want to get some type of a microphone of some sort, Bluetooth, to where I can easily communicate with it. Also with the laptop, one of the things that whenever I travel, I do a lot of thinking. That's one of the reasons I really like to travel, is I get a lot of thoughts and things. And so with the laptop, I've got Dragon, naturally speaking, I've used for years. And so I want to be able to be driving down the road and also dictating to my laptop, thoughts, and that maybe that's how I write a book as I travel around or whatever. And so that's just a few ideas. Thinking about maybe trying to get some curtains for the windows, the side windows, where I can kind of close them off if I want to. I don't know. Just these, I've been trying to focus on just getting, most of the walls and stuff covered and getting it functional and able to use. And a lot of this other stuff is just kind of extra thoughts of things I'm going to be working on or thinking about doing anyway. And one of the things, until you get out there and start really doing stuff and figuring out what you need, you can think all you want, but it's not till you really get out there and start doing it that you find out what you really need and want. And so I guess after they get through fixing the transmission, it'll be pretty much ready to go, except for, like I said, little details and things I want to finish up. I want to, hopefully, I'll have a pretty day or something. I want to re-clean this thing. You can't even see out the windshield right now. It's filthy. And so I would like to re-wash it again and get it all ready. And then as far as plans for trips and stuff, I don't have anything major planned right now. I think one of the first things I'll probably do, I always liked going down to Florida during the cold winter months, usually end of December, 1st of January, month of January, something like that. And just get some sun and get away. And so I'll probably do some little trip before then just to try some things out. I've got a possible pickleball tournament down next to Columbia, South Carolina, end of November. Thinking about maybe doing it and taking it down for that. And then it gets into December and things just get busy and a lot going on with patients and things like that. And so probably hopefully in January be able to start getting out a little bit and doing some little trips. And then after that, I don't know. I'll just kind of play it as it goes. Got a lot of traveling that I want to do, a lot of things. Want to get out and visit some of you guys in your new places and check things out and just have some fun. And so we'll see where it all goes. But just wanted to share some. Hopefully this wasn't too long, took up too much of your time. Like I said, I don't even know how long this turned out to be, but I love you guys.